Hello everyone. Okay, so here's what's been going on. I'll go ahead and talk for a while playing a very old and not very well known DOS game, the Orion Odyssey. Basically it's like Jetpack except, well, it's pretty different. You walk around, you shoot at things like that. Like I just shot at that thing up on the ground, except it's kind of very difficult to control this game actually. It's really, there we go, I think I shot it. Anyway. So, here's what's been going on. Last week, I started university classes. This is actually the first time in my life that I... oops, I died. This is the first time in my life that I have actually been enrolled in an actual proper degree program. I'm a little bit late. I'm 32 years old, so I'm more than 10 years late to the party, I know, but kind of life circumstances got in the way of me starting university at the age that you're supposed to or expected to. So I'm majoring in electrical engineering, and I'm studying here in Austria, where a bachelor's degree is only 3 years instead of the usual 4 years that it is in North America. So I guess that's nice. It's nice that I only have to study for 3 years. That's something. But obviously the problem is that classes and studying take up a lot of time, and so I'm not going to have a lot of time in the present or near future to do extraneous stuff, such as, for example, make YouTube videos. That doesn't mean I'm going to stop. I would like to continue, but I don't really know how much time I'll have or really what the future has in store, because when I make videos, I usually want to be able to devote a reasonable amount of time and attention to them. I don't just want to do them sort of haphazardly. I know some people are very content to... oh, what's that thing on? Is that a... Oh, it's some kind of a pickup, but I don't know what it does. Anyway, I know some people are content to just sort of half-heartedly make videos and not really be very... not very meticulous about it, which is fine. I mean, you don't have to be very picky or perfectionist about it. I mean, games are supposed to be fun, and so YouTube videos should also be fun if you're making YouTube videos about playing games. Oh crud, I died. But I tend to take things a little bit more seriously, including games, and so I try to make my videos in such a way that there's some reasonable amount of, effort and time and preparation put into them. Not as much as other people probably. I think some people probably really just do a huge amount of preparation. I don't do that much, but at least a little bit, at least some amount of research and planning of what's going to happen in the videos. So not hours and hours worth, but at least, I don't know, at least several minutes worth, which I guess it's not very much. It's not necessarily that I won't have the time. I just want to be in the right spirit and the right frame of mind to make videos when I'm doing so as well. And all of that just becomes more difficult when you have stuff to do. In a way, studying is worse than working because, well, so when I first started making videos in 2008, it was because I had just lost my job and I wanted something to kind of cheer me up and keep me busy while I was looking for another job. And I got very lucky at that time. I mean, I was very fortunate in that I did actually get a job within a reasonable frame of time, a few months. I mean, it took a few months, but that's not too long these days, because these days it takes a long time to find a job. So I did get a job, and I ended up for several years productively making YouTube videos while I wasn't working, while I held down a full-time job. And so that was pretty good, because at that point in time I didn't have a lot of stress in my life. I mean, working, of course, introduces a certain amount of stress, but at least if you have steady work, then you pretty much just have to worry about getting your job done. As long as you can keep doing that, you can pretty much make a living if your job pays a living wage. Studying in a way is worse than that, because besides the time that you spend in class, there's the time that you spend actually studying, which can be extensive depending on how well you're doing, depending on how well you grasp your study material. And and there may be work involved as well, because a lot of students, such as myself, will probably have to work to supplement their income in the meantime when they're not studying. So anyways, when you're a student, there's actually more of a time sink involved than when you're working full-time, because when you're working full-time, you typically just put in your time at work and then you're done and you can just go and do whatever you want. So I'll still have some spare time, certainly. I'm not claiming that every moment will be filled up, and it's not like it takes that long to make these videos. I mean, my videos are typically, what, about a half hour long, or not even that much. And like I said, it doesn't take that much preparation for them. So I do plan to be making more videos. I just don't really have a schedule for when that's going to happen or how regularly that's going to happen right now, because I do have obviously other stuff going on. So yeah, I'm not sure what's going to happen in the near future, or the distant future for that matter. There are still oh, look at this, it's a dungeon. Wow. Oh, is this going to go? Oh, I can't go through this door, even though it looked like the door. Oh, it looks like the door is moving, but I don't think I can actually go through it. Is it one of those things where the door opens when you're far away from it, and then, yeah, it looks like it closes when I get close to it? Can I do anything here? Apparently not. So yeah, there are a lot of games still that I could play. There are definitely tons. I mean, it's not like there's any shortage of games that can be played. Obviously, I'm known for these sorts of older DOS games. These are the types of games that I really like playing. But I'm not opposed to newer games either. There are certainly lots of other newer games which I could play. So there's no shortage of games that are interesting to me, or that I might be interested in making a Let's Play of. But then I guess I have the problem that a lot of people end up having, which is trying to divide what they want to do between trying to find a balance between what they want to do and what their audiences want them to do. So I wouldn't be so pretentious as to claim that I'm an artist. I'm not an artist or a rock star or anything like that, but there is a certain amount of, I think it's fair to say there's a certain... Oh, I picked up a sword. What does that do? Oh, I'm carrying a sword and a bomb. That's nice. Okay. Don't know what either of them does. I never finished this game. Actually, I didn't really play this game very much. I just remember playing this game a little bit and thinking that it looked pretty good because it has DOS graphics. So anyway... So yeah, the problem with any sort of person who makes any kind of art, or anything with any sort of creative element to it, is that eventually you'll reach a point where you want to have some kind of creative expansion, if you will. Like, you'll want to start doing different things. You'll want to branch out and do something that you haven't done before, something that people don't expect you to do. And then, of course, the problem with that is people usually don't like it. People say, what's this? This isn't what I expected. This isn't what we're used to. We're used to you doing something different. Why don't you just go back to what you did before? And it's not always the case. There are some people who welcome changes and say, oh, I'm really liking this new approach, or this new look, or this new sound, or whatever. But those people tend to be in the minority. Most people tend to typecast you. That's the problem with... like, if you're an actor, you know, there are certain actors who are just typecast as playing a certain type of character, and if they do that too much, then they're kind of doomed to playing that character for most of their careers, because there's really no way out at that point. People just think, oh, you're that person, you play this type of character, yeah, you play tough guys, or you play funny people, or you play really neurotic people, or whatever. You know, you have a certain profile associated with you, and then it's hard to get out of that. So, speaking for myself, I can go up from there. Didn't realize. Oh, there's a key. That's cool. Oh, and oxygen, which I wasn't able to get because I died. So yeah, the thing about me is that I like these types of games. I like these really sort of very, very lo-fi, not necessarily 8-bit, but at least very sort of blocky, pixelated graphics with simple sound and relatively simple game mechanics, not too much in the way of story. And the problem with that, of course, is most people, well, honestly, I'm not necessarily that popular, as a Let's Player compared to obviously some people who have millions of subscribers, but I do have a few thousand subscribers. I have a little over 3,000 subscribers, which is, in a certain sense, that's a lot of people. I mean, I have about 3,000 people who thought that what I'm doing or what I'm saying or what I'm showing in these videos is interesting enough that they wanted to see it regularly. 3,000 people, that's a sizable audience. But I think that primarily the reason for that is because people like Quest for Glory. I think I got most of those subscribers back when I was doing the Quest for Glory games. And if you look at my video views these days, it's they're not that high. I get only a few hundred views per video, which is still a lot. And I don't want to be ungrateful. I don't want to say, oh, I only have quote unquote only have a few people, a few hundred people watching my videos, and so that's not very many. I ran out of fuel. Yeah, I don't want it to be like that. I am grateful for the subscribers I have. I am grateful that people like to watch my my stuff. But at the same time, I know that most of them probably want to see Sierra Adventures. Like now that I've done the first 3 King's Quest games, right away people said do Space Quest next, which is a logical follow-up. I mean, yeah, if you do King's Quest, why not do Space Quest next? Sure, that seems like a logical follow-up. I agree that it is a logical thing to do. And if not that, then probably some type of adventure game like, I don't know, Police Quest, Leisure Suit Larry, whatever, something that ties in with what I've done before and what my... Let's see, don't I have that key? Oh, no, I died. Okay, so what I probably have to do is get that key from where I was before, and then that'll open this door here. Okay, if I can survive that long, which I probably won't. So that's a logical thing to do. And I don't know that I'll necessarily do a Sierra adventure next. I mean, there are obviously other companies that did adventure games. I have a few ideas for adventure games that I might want to play and profile, which are not very well known. They're less well known than Sierra Adventures. But again, that's the problem. I want to do games in general that are not very well known. I would prefer to highlight games that people have not seen before, which is the exact opposite of what most people want, because most people want to see games that they have seen before. Most people want to kind of be nostalgic and reminisce about, oh yeah, I remember this game when I played this from when I was a kid. That's what people really want to see. And that's kind of the opposite of what I want to do. I don't just want to be the 10 millionth guy who made a Let's Play of Leisure Suit Larry or Space Quest or something like that. I want to be somebody who... it doesn't necessarily have to be super original. I mean, I'm not creating... I'm not writing Hamlet or painting the Mona Lisa or something. Again, I don't want to have any illusions. It's not like... I don't want to be all pretentious and say, oh, I'm an artist. I do serious work. I do not pander to the masses. It's not like that, but I do want to do something a little bit more original than just playing the same games that other people have played millions of times before. So I'm trying to find a middle ground there. I'm trying to find games that will appeal to people who watch my videos, but won't just be games that everyone's already seen before. So that's tough to do. That's tough to do because usually people like the familiar. I think most people like nostalgia and they want to see what they've seen before. They want what they're familiar with, and they don't want to have to discover something new and be forced to endure something new. Oh, there we go. Yeah, the door did open with that key that I picked up. Now what's here? Whoa. What is going on here? Wait, is this a dead end? I can't go up from here, can I? No, it doesn't look... What? So what's the point of this room? I don't get it. There's nothing here. Okay, I don't know. So yeah. So, where was I? Yeah. I'm just basically talking about trying to find a balance between the familiar and the unknown. So I want to find that balance. I don't want to alienate my audience by playing stuff that wouldn't appeal to them, but at the same time I don't want to just go with so-called crowd pleasers, just really obvious sort of pedestrian stuff, because I don't know, I don't think that's very creative or very original or very interesting. maybe I'm wrong. I mean, if people want to see it, then why not? But anyway, I mean, it's not necessarily bad. It's not like it's a bad thing to be nostalgic and see things that you're familiar with. I mean, the familiar is important too, but I do like to experience new things and discover new things and try to see or do something that I've never done before. And it's not always very interesting because of, you know, the 90% rule, which says that 90% of everything is crap. So if you kind of get out of your comfort zone and start exploring things, very often it will just be something stupid and boring because, again, 90% of stuff is crap. But even if 90% of stuff is crap, that means there's 10%, there is 10% of stuff out there that's pretty good, and you kind of have to work to find it, but you can find it if you go looking. You just have to be patient, and of course not everybody's willing to be that patient. So so yeah, so what does the future hold? I don't know. Like I said, I've got a few ideas for games that I might want to play. One game in particular that I'll go ahead and mention, because I've had a couple of people who have been very vocal for a while and encouraging me to get back to it, is Robot Odyssey. Now, of course, the VJ remake of Quest for Glory 2 is an obvious choice. That's a very popular game, which some people wanted me to get back to. But the other Let's Play, which I never finished, partly just because I had some technical issues with it, and also partly because it didn't seem like most people were that interested in it, is Robot Odyssey. Now, Robot Odyssey it's a very singular sort of game in the sense that there's not really much like it out there. It's a very unique game, and that's part of why I like it and why I wanted to make some videos of it, because I don't think there's anything quite like it out there. But the problem with it doesn't really have mass appeal. I didn't get a lot of interest in it. Like I said, I have a couple of people who were very interested in it, and you know, it's kind of what happens when you have these niche interests. You have these sort of niche groups who are interested in something obscure, and they are a small but vocal group, probably partly because, for that very reason, because their particular branch of interest is not popular, and so they have to sort of very vigorously defend it so that it gets the attention they believe it deserves. So I'm curious, what do people think about Robot Odyssey? Is that thing something I can pick up? Yes, it was. I don't know what it was. It looked like some kind of golden goose or something. Anyway, oh, maybe that golden goose will get me an infinite amount of gold, since I have some gold that I need to buy stuff with. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm curious, what do folks think about the idea of me getting back to Robot Odyssey? It's not a very, yeah, golden goose. I wonder if that means, does that give me unlimited gold or what? What if I go down here, for example, and try to buy some fuel? No, it still cost me gold to buy that fuel, so I don't know what this golden bird does, but anyway. Maybe it periodically recharges my gold? I don't know. So I'm curious what folks think of that idea of me doing Robot Odyssey. It seems like a logical choice now that I'm studying electrical engineering, because it is a game built around concepts of digital electronic logic, and so it seems like a natural thing to do now that I'm studying this. But then again, I was always into electronic logic even before I went to university, so it's not like anything's really changed. It's not like I've actually learned much in university, and I don't really expect to learn a lot because I actually have been studying electronics for years. I just never did so in university before. So, and beyond that, I mean, besides that, there are lots of very popular games. I mean, what are the popular games that that a lot of Let's Players on YouTube get popular on? Of course, there are shooters. I mean, first-person shooters, role-playing games. And for the nostalgic crowd, I think there's probably a bigger viewership in, oh dear, gotten stuck in the ground. Uh-oh. Why is my health going down? Uh-oh, this is very bad. I think among the nostalgic crowd, there's probably more nostalgia in old console games, like old NES games. So I'm sure that if I did a lot of Mario or a lot of Sonic the Hedgehog or whatever, stuff like that, I could probably get a lot of viewers, and people would be very interested in that. And then, of course, there are newer games. I mean, there are always tons of new games coming out which I could play. The reason I'm bringing this up is, I mean, of course, some people will say that you shouldn't care about what's popular. Who cares about what's popular? You should just do what you enjoy doing, and people will watch anyway. It doesn't matter if it doesn't matter if you don't have millions and millions of subscribers. Who cares? Even if you have a few hundred or a few thousand subscribers, that's great. That's still a lot of people, and you should, you know, present for those people. Do what you love. Do videos for those people. And that's what I've always done. I've always done that. I've always just done games that I really enjoyed, and I haven't tried to pick up on what's popular to get more viewers, because that's not something that I really have ever wanted to do with this channel. But the thought has crossed my mind, of course, as I'm sure it has most YouTubers' minds at some point in time, of potentially monetizing the channel, which is not something that I've ever really wanted to do. I've never really wanted to try and turn this into a money-making endeavor, because, you know, of course, once you do that, then everything becomes tainted with money, and then it's no longer about having fun. It's about trying to... It becomes a business, basically, and it stops being fun. In a very real way, it stops being fun, because at that point in time, you can no longer just think about what's fun to do. Now you have to think about what'll make money. And I don't think I have the viewer figures to really justify something like that. I mean, again, 3,000 subscribers, in a way it's a lot of people, but in terms of YouTube subscriptions, it's not very much. I mean, I think that you can't really make an appreciable amount of money on YouTube monetization until you have... I've heard about 100,000 it tends to be the threshold. Around 100,000 subscribers is where you can start turning it into an actual living. Like, that's where you can actually maybe think about making a living out of, or at least not, if not a full-time job, at least a decent chunk of supplemental income. So I'm at about 3,000 subscribers now, so, you know, I'd have to multiply my subscriber base by about 30. And I got to be realistic. I don't think that I'm going to do that anytime soon. So I don't think that that's a viable thing. You know, that's not something that I really seriously want to do. I've thought about it, but I don't think that I want to think about it too earnestly. But since I'm talking about the future and about ideas for the channel, and since I'm making this video, I'm curious what people think of that idea of maybe monetizing the channel, because again, I am a student now, and I'm going to need some supplemental income for those 3 years that I'm studying. I'm going to need to get money from somewhere, and I don't realistically think that I can make all my income from YouTube, but if I can supplement it somehow, maybe that'd be useful. So I just wonder, what do folks think of the idea of me playing more I don't know, NES shooters or something like that, the kinds of games that popular people play? Do folks have any interest in that? I know I have a small core of very, very loyal subscribers who say that they'll just watch whatever I put out. It doesn't matter what I play. They like my voice or they dislike my style, and they'll watch whatever I play no matter what. And again, I'm very grateful for those people. I'm very happy that people like me that way. I'm happy about it. I don't want to sound ungrateful or imply that I want to go big. I'm not trying to be greedy about this. I'm not trying to go big and say, yeah, money, let's make all the money. That's not what it's about. It's more just about me thinking what I should do, what's most sensible to do with the channel where I am now, because I know that if I do what I really want to do, I'm not going to get a lot of viewers. I'm gonna have just like, if I do Robot Odyssey, which was something interesting to me, I know I'm going to get a very small number of viewers who watch it, and they're going to say that that's very cool and very interesting. And then you might say, well, why not? Why not just make videos for those people? There's a wonderful story which I remember reading some years ago by was it Don Lancaster? Gosh, I'm gonna have to look that up now. I think it was Don Lancaster, but I'm not sure. Somebody basically who wrote a story about how they went to a concert, like back in the hippie days, back in the '60s, when when music was basically controlled by hippies, or they were the big music demographic. There was a flute concert that the writer observed, and they said, you know, I saw this person playing a flute, and they started doing some really crazy things with the flute, and they started making some really amazing, like crazy squawking, screeching sounds, and it didn't really seem like flute playing. It seemed more like doing bizarre things with a flute that don't make sense. And I realized that most people in the audience didn't really appreciate it. They just thought, what the heck is this? This is some guy playing a flute in some horrible way that sounds like somebody's skinning a cat. But then there was one guy in the audience who was totally amazed, and he said, wow, I didn't realize that you could do that with a flute. And it became apparent that in this group of people, in this group of hundreds or thousands of people, there were maybe just a few people, just like maybe 5 people, who really understood that what they were witnessing wasn't just somebody making horrible squawking, screeching sounds on a flute, but somebody who had mastered the flute to such an extent that they had figured out how to make sounds that you weren't even supposed to be able to make with a flute. And then the conclusion of the story was, always play for those 5 people. The idea being that you shouldn't care about what's popular, you shouldn't care about what other people are doing or what other people expect of you. Always play for that small core of people who really understand you, who really get what you're doing, and who really appreciate your talent and your efforts. And the other people, well, they're not as important. Now, that's a very nice sentiment. I understand there's a certain amount of idealism there, and I don't necessarily agree with that. I was going to say I don't necessarily disagree. Well, I guess I should say I don't necessarily agree or disagree. I think that there is a certain... I don't disagree, but I think it's a conclusion that you don't want to take to its extreme. You don't want to necessarily say that you should do the most insane, obscure, batshit stuff possible, because it can get pretty weird. And I think that that a balance is healthy. I think that a balance between the obscure and the sort of hipster, alternative, kind of edgy stuff, and then the more gentle sort of processed mainstream stuff, I think a balance between the two is good. And I'd like to be able to strike that balance in whatever I do. Here, once again, I got stuck in the ground for some reason. I'd like to be able to find that balance, to not necessarily just do really obscure old games, and I wouldn't want to be doing just I don't want to just make videos of Dark Souls or I don't even know what's popular now. I'm not very good at keeping up with new games anymore, so I don't even really know what's super popular. Minecraft. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to make like a whole channel full of Minecraft videos. Some people have done so very successfully and gotten a huge amount of subscribers just playing Minecraft. And I don't know, maybe I could do the same thing. Maybe if I became like the world's greatest Minecraft player, I could get a lot of interest. So anyway, I'm kind of rambling. I apologize. I know I'm starting to ramble quite a lot. My point with all of this is I'd like to kind of get a bit of a sense from people of what they'd like to see. I think I've asked this question before, but now that I'm sort of in a different phase of life and in a different situation, I'd like to ask what people think of this idea of either doing something more, quote, popular, unquote, or going in the opposite direction and just doing totally obscure hipster kind of games that nobody knows about, and saying about how I like these games before they were cool, or maybe not even before they were cool, because maybe they were never cool in the first place. So what do you folks think? What do you think of me maybe somewhat altering my channel format so that instead of mostly focusing on adventure games, I do something else? Again, keeping in mind that I am now a student and a lot of my time is occupied by either studying or trying to find ways to make money part-time, or other miscellaneous real-life things which you have to do when you have a real life, as I sometimes have, since I don't have parents or anybody else like that to look after me. I sort of have to do everything myself, which also consumes time. So considering that I am somewhat time constrained, considering that I am a guy who doesn't necessarily have all the time to make all the videos that he'd like to make. What do you folks think is the best or the most sensible approach at this point? I'm open to suggestions. I'm open to advice. I'm open to life advice or just YouTube advice or just any kind of advice that people want to give. So I guess that's all I really wanted to say. I've spoken way too long. I apologize. I feel like this video is not very coherent, and that's partly because, as usual, I'm a little bit distracted by the game that I'm playing. I do like to play games in the background while I'm talking because it gives something to look at. I think it's a bit more interesting than just me talking for half an hour, and so that's a little bit distracting. And then also there's the fact that I didn't really have a script. I didn't really know what I was going to say. I just basically wanted to say, I guess all I really wanted to say is, what do you folks think you'd like to see, and what would you do in my situation? What do you think is the best thing to do? So that's pretty much that for now. Again, more videos will probably be coming. I do expect more videos to show up in the future. I just don't know when or what they'll be. I don't know if there'll be more of what we've seen in the past, or if there'll be something kind of branching out in a new, different direction. The future is like that. The future is new and exciting because you never know what the future holds. Maybe you'll make a new video about Minecraft, or maybe you'll be a guy flying around in a blue space suit and shooting at little miniature flying saucers and tanks on the ground, or whatever those are. You never know. You never know what life will bring you. Life is full of adventures. And then sometimes it's not. Sometimes life just consists of spending the next 80 years of your life working in a factory or some other sort of situation, which is not that exciting. Life is not always an adventure, but it can be. And so, I don't know. Should life be an adventure, or should it just be a long, slow, trudging march towards the blue spacesuit and jetpack? I don't know. What do you folks think? I'll go and stop the video here before I say more ridiculous nonsense, but again, I'm open to suggestions. Thanks for watching, as always, everyone. Leave a comment if you have something to say. I guess that's kind of obvious. Leave a comment if you have something to say. I think people will probably do that anyway. So yeah, that's it for me. I'll go ahead and stop here. Again, thanks for watching, everyone. I will hopefully talk to you folks later. Bye for now.